Hello again, gamers. Welcome back to the Board Game Captain. I'm the Board Game Captain.
I'm Lynn.
And I'm Alex.
And today we're going to be counting down our top 10 favorite games based on either literature or film. So in this case, we approached it fairly loosely. Anything that's either a book or anything that you watch on a screen we consider to be literature or film. So that includes TV shows, comic books, etc. I think we've all kind of kept it a little loose. I actually, I found that there were a lot of games where I was like, oh yeah, that's kind of based on this. I was surprised when I was going through how many games are actually based on. I had an overabundance. What did you guys think?
There are not very many two-player abstract strategy games based on film or literature.
I disagree. I've got two.
There's at least two.
I didn't say there were 0, but there aren't 10.
No. I originally had more than 10. I had to cut some out.
Which is rare for you. So
Yeah.
you actually wound up with a lot. All right, so why don't you deal us out our order? Let's see what order we're going in. I didn't even see what that
It
was.
was a 2.
That's
A 2.
That would be last.
I got a jack.
6.
A 6. I think this is the same order we just had for the top 10 sci-fi games.
I don't
It was
recall.
me, Lynn, Alex. All right.
Yeah.
So I guess
So it goes.
So it goes indeed. So without any further ado, let's get to our number 10s. Number 10.
You should show them the back of the card so they see why they were
Oh.
chosen.
Yes, these are actually literary themed cards. So my number 10 is based both on literature and a television show, or rather a television show that also was based on literature. 6 one, half a dozen the other.
Which came first?
Well, the book.
No, but is it based on the book or is it based on the TV show?
Well, it came out after both were out, but I'd say it's based on both because
Yeah.
yeah. So it's kind of a twofer here, and that is Risk Game of Thrones edition. Now, I'm a big fan of the Game of Thrones, and I would guess you would say this is based on the TV show because Game of Thrones is only the name of the first book, and the series is called A Song of Ice and Fire, and this definitely has things going on in it that are based on later books. So I think this is more based on the TV show that is then based on the series of books because it includes the possibility to have Daenerys fighting against the various Githkari forces in Essos, which is something that does not happen in the first book. That doesn't happen until later books. So this is Risk, but with extra rules to help simulate the kind of fights that went on in Game of Thrones, and it also has objective cards, which in my opinion are the coolest addition to this game because the objectives make it so that you don't really usually have player elimination, and also the game doesn't drag out and overstay its welcome. This is in my opinion, this is Risk how Risk should have been done if they had known about modern game mechanics. They thoroughly revamped it and made this a much better game, and it's based on the TV show and book series. So that is my number 10. Anybody want to add anything about Risk Game of Thrones?
I must have skimmed over that when I was looking because I completely forgot it existed.
Should this have made your
It
list?
probably would have made my list if I
If you'd have remembered?
Yeah.
So you do really like this one a lot if this would have made your
Yeah.
list. But I guess it won't be a crossover
No.
because you forgot it existed. Fair enough.
I'm pretty sure I didn't put it on my list. I made this a couple days ago.
So now you're checking.
No, it's not on
Not
there.
on there.
I was-
Okay.
Okay, my number 10 is based on a book, and there's movies too, but I don't
But
know.
this feels like it's based on the book.
This is based on the book. It's Journey to the Center of the Earth. I got this at on the $5 rack at Gen Con at the Mayfair booth, and I was like, hey, for $5, if it's crap, what does it matter?
Yeah.
Right.
And it turned out to be an actual really good game. You play through the book. You go down into the volcano, and then you do all the stuff in the volcano, and then you shoot up out of it. And it's just ridiculous because you would die.
Yeah,
if
yeah.
you actually did that. But
Right.
but it does. It walks you through all the major plot points of the book, and it's really fun.
This is a good game. I do agree with your and thoroughly based on the book. I really do feel that. It does feel
Sounds
like
like it could not have been more based on the book.
No, it's actually
Yeah.
amazingly close to the book. It really is. That's what I'm saying. It really is.
Unlike mine, which as is normal per these top 10 lists is a bit of a stretch. This is Murder of Crows. It's a matching card game, basically. You're building. You have to build the word murder out of the cards you have in order to win the game. It is very reminiscent of Poe and the Raven, but it has literary theme-ish to it because each of the cards builds a story.
You're telling a story.
Yes.
Everyone, present company included, is expecting me to give you lots of crap for this, and I'm not going to. And I'll tell you why.
What?
Not because of claiming it's based on Poe is a hell of a stretch.
Oh yeah, big time.
But this tells murder mystery stories.
Yes.
Which, even though it's not based on a specific book, it kind of feels like it is sort of based on a literary genre. So I'm not going to give you any garbage for it at all.
I think it was inspired. The way it reads when you build the murder mystery thing is it's. I mean, it's obviously like a crappy dime store mystery novel,
which is
But I think the point was to be Poe-ish. It's what seemed to me.
And you know what? Even though it's not specifically based on, I mean, we're fairly loose with this list in general, so I'm not going to give any garbage on that. I mean, you know, I think it's a good pick, actually. So, and I think this is the first time Murder of Crows made one of your lists.
I think so too. Well, yeah, it never fit anything else.
Well, so there you go.
All right.
Number 9. Now, for my number 9, I have a game based on a classic children's book. Actually, many different children's books based on this particular story. And the game is The Blood of an Englishman, which is based on the tale of Jack and the Beanstalk. In this game, one player plays Jack, one player plays the Giant. And the Giant is trying to rearrange stacks of cards to spell out, to order cards that say fee, fi, fo, fum next to each other, while Jack is trying to grab certain cards with the treasures on them. He has to get all the different kinds of treasures that in the story he stole from the Giant and get them down the beanstalks. And he has to get cards out of the stacks to put them in the right numerical order, finished off by one of the treasure cards. And he has to make it down with the goose that lays the golden eggs, the magic harp, and the lots of just golden treasure, I think, are the 3 different treasures.
Yeah.
And this is a really, really fun game. It is asymmetrical. The 2 characters play very differently. And I think it actually really well represents the whole Jack and the Beanstalk story. And I really enjoy this one a lot.
Me too.
I don't really like it all that much.
No, you're not a big fan. All right, well, really? But that's my number 9, The Blood of an Englishman.
My number 9 is 3 Little Pigs.
Another children's story.
Yes.
Awesome.
This is, you are trying to build houses on the back. Here you can see. And, the houses out of better components and taller houses are obviously worth more points. One of the things that I really love about this is this when the wolf comes out and you have this spinner to see what the wolf does. It doesn't always work, but it recommends in the book to blow on it like the wolf
spin it?
Puffing. Yeah. It's a little tight, so it doesn't always spin freely.
I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll blow this spinner around.
It is a push your luck dice game is the main component, but then there's also, the tile laying to build the houses.
It is, you know what? The press your luck dice game is really good. I love being able to take that from attacking other players. This is one that could have made my list, but didn't quite. No, that's a good choice.
I like the box too. It looks like a book.
I like the box.
I actually
it opens like a book.
There you go.
Yeah, it does. It is a really good. It's part of their what do they call these? The Tales and Games line.
Yes.
From
so you can just
from Yellow.
You can put it on your shelf like that, and it just looks like a spine.
Which I think this is the only one of these we have right now. But there's a few others I wanted to get.
We've bought some other ones, but we either gave them away or sold them because they weren't
I've heard
as good as this one.
That Tortoise and the Hare one I've heard is very good. And I want to get that one. The Baba Yaga one was very mad.
No,
I didn't really.
It was good for very small children.
Maybe, yeah, but it just it kind of iffy. That one was not very good. But this was a good one. I do like this one.
Okay, for my number 9 is Blood of the Englishman.
I can't believe you put that on your list.
All right. It barely qualifies. Oh, for all the reasons that the captain just explained, the asymmetric nature of it is really cool. The fact that it plays fairly quickly, as for a easy rule card game, it actually it's longer than you think. You could probably stretch this out to 20 minutes or half an hour. Per
depending.
Yeah, obviously depending. But the nice thing about it is that you can flip flop rolls. Because it's asymmetric, and you're playing a different game if you play it back to back, because you have very different things you have to do. But I really like how this plays, and it fully fits the theme.
Now, obviously, I agree because I put it on my list already. I just wanted to mention, I think you are a big fan of the asymmetrical games.
I really am. As long as they're short enough where you can play them back to back, I feel like that's the key. Because if you keep playing the same, if you play a long asymmetrical game, I feel like you get kind of it's a little screwy. But
I can think of one long asymmetrical game that you're a big fan of. Actually, that goes like hours and hours.
But that's different. It may make the list.
I wonder if it is on the list. It is based on an official IP. It might be on the list. We'll see.
All right.
Number 8. So, my number 8 is based on a book as well as a TV show. This is another one that's... it's kind of doing double duty a little bit again, which is great. So, it's book and film. And that is Pillars of the Earth, which, as you can see up here, it says Ken Follett, Pillars of the Earth, though he had nothing to do with the game. He wrote the book. And then there's a series based on the book, and every book in the series so far, or at least the first 3. I'm not sure if he's done more than that. But
I think there's a 4th one. I'm not sure. I don't read the book, so.
But the first three books have all been turned into board games now, which are Pillars of the Earth, World Without End, and Column of Fire. This entry specifically is for Pillars of the Earth. It is a old school worker placement game. It feels actually the mechanics hold up, but the worker placement in this feels very different from what most people think of as worker placement today. And it's a really cool game that goes through the events of the book while they are building the cathedral and such. And it's a very, very fun game. I very much enjoy it. And it is definitely based on a novel. So I figured it fit the theme well. I love how the turn tracker is actually pieces of the cathedral that you one at a time. Each of you takes a piece of the cathedral at the end of your turn, puts it on the board to build the cathedral, which you can see there happening in the middle of a very beautiful board. And that is my number 8, Pillars of the Earth.
My number 8 is based on a TV show. It is Firefly, the board game.
I knew you were going to put this on this list for sure.
Okay.
There was never a doubt.
I want to put it on my list, but I've never played it.
It's a fun pick-up and delivery game in the universe of Firefly. It's very thematic. You get your ship. You can get different captains for your ship, and depending on the captain, you can do bad things or you can do good things. I like to do bad things.
Let's be bad guys.
Always.
And you fly around to all the different planets and get quests and pick up crew members, and it's fun.
No, it is a good game. I do enjoy this game.
For my number 8, I picked Century, the Golem edition. The main reason I picked this is because the Golem is a literary device. Extends way, way back to the Talmud and extends through Jewish literary history and has been used in everything from the Brothers Grimm to modern novels as a device. So it's not a specific literature or title, but it is the
mythical creature.
The mythical creature is pretty well established in historical literature.
It is. I've got actually quite a few short stories about golems in the library, so yeah.
It is a really fun game to play. I know Captain here, this is one of his favorite games.
Oh, I love this game.
He just doesn't extend the liberal interpretation of the rules as far as I do.
No, I don't, but I'm not going to give you any garbage for it because actually I'm enjoying the way you're stretching the rules on this one. I think this is really neat. So, like, you're not saying this is based on a specific book. You're saying this is based on a bunch of stories, and I kind of dig that. So I'm not giving you any garbage for this at all. I'm thinking you were quite creative with this list making. Is this the first time Century's made it to one of your lists too?
I think so. You know, this this game has not been out long, right? You haven't had it for very long.
No, I
So
got it Gen Con 2017.
Yeah, so I've only played this recently. So, I have not been able to work it into anything else.
Yeah, there you go.
But yeah, this is a great game. A lot of fun.
Oh, very good game. Number 7. So my number 7 is bizarrely based on the long-running intro to a television show, and not the show itself. But I think it counts. Mm-hmm. This is probably one of the stretchiest things. I mean, they even have the name of the TV show on the box,
right?
And that is Mystery Motive for Murder, and actually says Masterpiece.
I think it's because it's like an anthology show.
Yes.
They just show different murder mysteries.
Right, but in the long-running intro, which now they've kind of minimalized, it's only for a short stint there, but I remember back in the 80s, they used to have the big, long animation that would play in front of the show, right? Mm-hmm. And the art in this is based on the art of that animation. You see the same kind of characters all around, and basically this is a tile-laying game where you are trying to solve a murder mystery by figuring out motives, and you get points based on the more valuable the motive is, the more points you get. And this is all done through a tile-laying mechanic, which is absolutely brilliant, and once you lay tiles, you get to read out the motives, and they're hilarious. I love them, and it is based on the intro to the old Masterpiece mystery show, which... You know, it was a fantastic show. I always loved Masterpiece Mystery back in the day. Back when we used to watch it on PBS. Is it still on PBS?
I believe it is.
Yeah. So that would,
I don't know.
So that is. Anyone got anything to add on Masterpiece Mystery?
It's a good game.
You gotta love something based on the intro to the TV show. Like,
Isn't that awesome?
To like something that much, like the game designers like the intro that much.
They're like, yeah, let's make a game based on that.
A game based just on this, not on the actual show, but on this part of the show.
It is so cool that they did that too. Yeah. I love that, and this is a really fun game too. This is a game I really enjoy. So that was my number 7.
All right.
My number 7 is Pillars of the Earth.
Why would you put that on?
It's a really fun super Euro game. There's a lot of Euro-ness going on.
Yeah.
Like he said just a couple minutes ago, you build a cathedral, and I really like building the cathedral.
There's a lot of resource management and worker placement going on.
I just realized there's a picture of Ken Follett on the back, and he's like distracting me. Like I didn't realize that's.
Was it because his eyes were following you, or like you were like?
I gotta put my hand over his face.
Because he's looking at you while you're talking about his game.
Say nice things.
You got it sideways now too.
I do.
You do.
It's because the backs of every one of your games are not right side up.
It just happens. It's a square box.
But
it
defies statistical probability how often they're not right.
Well, anyway, it's a really fun Euro game, but it is the worker placement is like the old worker placement where you place the worker and then at some point later in the game you get what that worker is on.
Which is weird because they don't do that anymore at all. Now it's always you place the worker, you get whatever it is.
Right.
Yeah, so it's different. Good game though, great game.
For my number 7, this has made my lists before, unlike my other ones. Agamemnon.
The back is upright because it can't be anything
because it can't be anything otherwise.
Because it opens like a book.
It does not alter the statistics because it is joined together. Yes. So Agamemnon is based. The characters are based on characters in the Iliad.
Yes.
Homer's Iliad. It's also loosely tracks the Loom of Fate,
which is another storyline from mythology.
It's not specifically Homer's though.
Yeah.
It's about the Trojan War. Characters from the Trojan War, and then you have to use them to move around a really interesting board.
It's tiling. It's a bit abstract.
Yeah, it's abstract, but it's very deliberate too.
And it's very brain burning.
Yes, and you can spend a lot. There's only like 4 different things you can do, but all those together.
Well, because there's some pieces. There's pieces. Like when you say there's different things you could do, there's the strength, there's the letter, and there's the number, and then there's pieces that have multiple of those, and you're like, if I put it here, it's going to help me with the strength line. If I put it, and it's also going to help me with the letter line. Yeah, and it's
So you can get. So this is the. It's not quite abstract strategy, but it's definitely strategy, and it is.
I think you could call it abstract strategy.
Yeah, I guess
it's like an abstract strategy tiling.
Tiling, yeah, but it's.
What do you think? Would you call it an abstract strategy?
I would. I think it's more abstract in that it's not like you're not putting dudes.
It's not a battle.
Right.
In battle,
No.
it's more like you're the gods and you're manipulating the humans.
Yeah, you're going this way, and you're going. Well, that's a good way to put it. I never thought of it like that.
Which is actually very in line with what's going on during the Iliad, because the gods are kind of taking a back seat and manipulating people and such.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, fun game. Lynn hates it, but I like it.
Number 6. So my number 6 is another part of the Ken Follett series, and it is my current favorite of the board games based on Ken Follett's novels, and that is World Without End. Now, World Without End is my favorite because it's kind of got the most going on. It's got the coolest rondel with the most interesting options. It's got a little mini worker placement game going on, but it's much more about the resource management in this one, and also about the hand management, because you get these cards. And you
can only use half of them.
You can only use half of them, and you have to decide, like, am I going to use it this turn? Okay, I'm going to use this one. This one, I don't think this one's going to get played this round. Okay, it's back around to me. Okay, I'm going to use this one. And it's really brilliant in how it does it. And like all of the games based on the Ken Follett novels, they, from what I understand from those who have watched the series and read the books, I have not done either, but...
They're very thematic.
They are very thematic. It really follows the events in the books and series. And the boards... and the pieces are just gorgeous. They always look really, really nice on the tabletop. And that is my number 6, World Without End.
My number 6 is Albion's Legacy.
Loosely based on King Arthur.
Yes, based on King Arthur, the Le Morte d'Arthur.
Le Morte d'Arthur.
By Mallory.
Yes, Thomas Mallory.
In this game...
Wait, can I throw out a quick literary joke?
Okay.
Quick literary joke to anyone who's read Le Morte d'Arthur. Why use one character when 15 will do?
Okay.
Anyone who's read the book will get that joke.
Anyway, you are trying to defend Camelot from monsters that are invading it, but this is not strictly a tower defense game, because if you try and play it like a tower defense, you will die. You need to leave Camelot and go exploring and find monsters before they're close enough to Camelot to become trouble. And it's more of like an adventure exploration game.
And thoroughly cooperative.
Yes, it's thoroughly co-op.
Okay.
It's really fun. I quite enjoy it.
Nice.
Well said.
All right. My number 6 is Jarl. It had the theme of it is the Vikings, the TV show.
Yes.
It plays like the Duke in that you have the tiles with.
But they move differently than the tiles.
They do move differently than the tiles in Duke, and the tiles are the moves you have available, and as you play them, it determines how you attack or defend or where you can put your
do the flippy over
pieces.
thing.
Yeah, you flip them over from one side. But the only part of it that has anything to do with literature or television or film
is the box.
Is the theme they placed on top of it.
But you know what? No, this is a really good game, and I mean it says Vikings.
Yeah.
It says Vikings on the box right there, which is the Vikings TV show, and it has a picture of Ragnar Lothbrok right there on the cover. So how can you say it's not based on Vikings?
It's based but the gameplay has it could be any theme.
Yeah.
That's true. It's true.
But it works.
They could have just made it, if they didn't have the official IP to Vikings, they could have just made it a generic Viking themed abstract strategy game, and it still would have worked.
But would you have purchased it?
Yeah, well, because we had already played the Duke and loved the Duke. I was going to purchase this regardless. As soon as they said, see, we love the Viking show, but I purchased this because we loved the Duke.
Yeah.
Not because of the show. So.
And the Duke didn't have a IP overlay.
No,
I had to pick this one.
Yeah, only in expansions did it. Yeah.
That's it. Vikings.
Number 5. So for my number 5, I've got a game based on a series of graphic novels, and that is the Mouse Guard Swords and Strongholds board game. Now, this is a board game that is actually based on a game that is seen being played by the mice in the graphic novels. It first appears in the end of the very first novel, which was Fall 1152, at the end of which 2 of the characters are shown playing this game during the winter after the events of the fall. It is later again seen being played by other characters, especially in the Heroes of the Guard series. There are characters seen playing this game in the pub while they're having a storytelling contest. And what they did here was they basically took the game that was fictionalized in the graphic novels and they turned it into an actual abstract strategy board game with a hand of cards that is actually very inventive, tons of fun, and infinitely replayable.
I concur.
I don't really like it that much.
Does any of this surprise you?
My number 5 is Once Upon a Time. It is a storytelling game. Has all the fairy tale tropes in it, and you get a hand of cards, and you have to use those cards to tell a story. You can, use cards as often or as little as you want or need, but the goal is to empty your hand of cards and then finish with one of the end cards, one of the happily ever after cards. And the cards have things like thief or palace or glass slipper on them. And as you tell your story and you mention the item, you put the card down. And the thing is that other players can interrupt you if they have a card that says wishing well, and you mention a wishing well in your story, they can put that card down and then they take over the story from there.
Usually a lot of the cards are easier than the wishing well, though. They're things like road or prince or horse.
Things that you try so hard to not say, and then you're like, oh, maybe no one will have this card, and then it's like, oh no, they have it. Yeah, no, this is a really good game too. It's a very fun. Actually, that's I think that made our just recently was on our another list we were recording. This is a really good game, though. I thoroughly agree. Very enjoyable.
How many people can play that?
2 to 6.
Oh, okay, that's pretty good.
Maybe we'll play it later tonight when Sabrina comes over.
Yeah, okay.
Ages 8 and up.
It's a really good one. It's a really good one.
Okay, for my number 5, this makes any list I can figure out a way to put it on.
You really love this game.
I really like this game a lot. Fight for Olympus. It is a I think this made our most recently made mine for pub games.
It might have,
yeah, because it's a small card lane kind of
it's got a
area
board.
control. It's got a small board on it. You're building
you're fighting over the different areas,
right?
Which each give you stuff, and one gives
points,
you
or abilities, and then you have to use your hand to use the effects of the card you're playing.
You discard cards as resources to play other cards.
Right.
Yeah,
and it's basically head to head across the small board that exists for the game. But it's a lot of fun, and I really, really enjoy this game. And the literary theme is
Greek mythology,
and it's carried through. It's not. I don't think it's quite as direct as the literary theme of Golem, but there are stories. There's a ton of films and books and TV shows based on
Greek mythology
and specifically the characters that are in this.
Clash of the Titans, the Percy Jackson series of books,
all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So
Sense.
It's a theme that runs throughout Western literature.
If it was just mythology, I'd be like, that's not really literature. But there's so many books and movies and other things based on that mythology that then you could say, it ties in. Yeah. Which actually, I'm not going to give any garbage for it at all. No. Great choice.
It's been kind of my theme within the theme.
Yeah, that you've been kind of being a little more. It's like you're stretching it without stretching it. It's like the art of fighting without fighting.
Without fighting, right? I consider it to be more meta.
Indeed. Number 4. So my number 4 is yet another game that appeared as a classic abstract game being played in a work of fiction and then later was adapted to being an actual abstract strategy game, similar to the one that was just on my list, the Swords and Strongholds from the Mouse Guard graphic novels. Now I am talking about Tak. Now Tak was a game that was being played by the main character and some side characters in the second book of the Kingkiller Chronicles, known as The Wise Man's Fear, which is by Patrick Rothfuss. I'm a big fan of that series so far. I'm still waiting on the third book. I can't wait. But this is a fantastic abstract strategy game. They really succeeded in making a game that, he only very vaguely talked about how the game was played. You just knew that pieces were being put on the board, but he didn't go into any real specifics of how the game was played in the book, and they took the very vague description and turned it into a very playable, very brain-burny abstract strategy game. And I really enjoy it. And just a quick note, because I'm really enjoying when they do this. In both of these cases, I've really loved that they took a game that appeared in literature and pulled it out and made an actual game out of it. And actually, I would like to see more of this. I'm really upset. There was a quote, though, in an interview from George R.R. Martin that the famous abstract strategy game that is played, and actually has a lot of references to how it is played in the books of the Song of Ice and Fire series, the game of Sivas, he has said he will never allow it to be made into a game. And that makes me sad, because he actually did more describing of that game than Patrick Rothfuss did, and they were able to tack into this great playable game. So
I really like this game. The abstract strategy is right up my alley, and the only reason I didn't put it on my list is because I didn't realize it was based on a novel.
You forgot?
I forgot that it was part of a book.
Yeah, I thought for sure this was going to be on your list. When you were like, oh man, that's from a book, I was like, oh, okay. And as usual, because you're very picky with your abstract strategies.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Yeah.
If I like it, she doesn't like it.
You guys just really do. Yeah, I was going to say, I agree with both of you on a lot of games, and then you just like...
Yeah, it's a good thing you're there.
That's why I'm in the middle. Right. That's why I'm in the middle over here.
Buffer.
Yeah. Oh, no.
Right. Hold me back. Just hold me back.
My number 4 is Shuffling Horror Roswell 51. It is a game based on the old-timey black and white 50s horror movies.
Yeah, this
all of them.
All of them.
Well, this is kind of like what Alex has been doing, where he's basing it on a type rather than a specific book or movie.
You have the giant ants and the weird zombie people and
robots,
aliens, robots,
pod people. They have pod people, which are like from Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
If the movie was ever featured on Mystery Science Theater 3000, it was now a part of this game.
It's a fun game where one person is the director and the other people are the characters, and the characters have to survive till the end of the movie. And so there's a set length, there's a set amount of cards you use. Every section of the movie has a certain amount of cards, and it's really fun. I enjoy it.
No, it's a very good game. Very good game.
For my number 4 game, I picked Seven Ronin. Seven Ronin is a asymmetric. I guess it's a
programming.
That's what it is. Yeah, programming game.
Yeah.
You have hidden. You hide what you're doing, and then you reveal, and then that shows how the game's going to be played.
It's like your battle plans.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Based on Seven Samurai.
Yeah, it's a not very veiled.
Right. The only reason it's not Seven Samurai
is they didn't get
the rights to it. I mean, it's
very much Seven Samurai.
It's the movie of Seven Samurai, but it's Seven Ronin. Instead of bandits, it's ninjas.
Yeah, because they couldn't get the rights. They wanted to change it just enough.
Yeah.
So they have the actual Ronin in this are a bit different than the samurai, and then also instead of bandits they had ninja. But otherwise, it's the story of Seven Samurai.
And it's the gameplay. I really like the gameplay.
Oh, it's phenomenal.
And it's fun and it's quick and it's a really entertaining game. I like it.
Oh yeah, no argument for me on that. You like half of it.
I like being the Ronin.
Yes.
I don't like being the ninja.
Yeah.
Being the ninja it's
a little harder.
It's a little harder. Well, there's less room for error because he's just throwing numbers at it is basically what happens.
It's deceptive in that, but it is the ninjas. It's a little harder to be the ninja than the Ronin, but that's another one where I like to play it twice and play both sides.
Sure,
though not with Lynn because Lynn wouldn't play the ninja. Number 3. So here we are at the top 3, our creme de la creme, our top 3 favorite games based on film or literature. And my number 3 is The Sheriff of Nottingham, loosely based, of course, on the book Robin Hood. Now, this is not based on the actual story of Robin Hood, but it is based on the characters from Robin Hood. And in it, you each are someone during the time period while the sheriff is ruling over Nottingham, and you are attempting to smuggle goods into Nottingham. So it's a bluffing game. and it's one that is very popular. Most people have at least heard of it at this point. This is even showing up in Target. Target's selling this, so this is really. But this is a game that's kind of starting to breach over from hobby gaming into mainstream gaming, and maybe one that's around for many years to come. But if you like bluffing games, this is a pure bluffing game. This is amazingly fun. You have to declare an amount of goods. You're not allowed to lie about the number. You put those goods in your bag. You're not allowed to lie about the number, but you can lie about what the goods are. And the sheriff has to decide, and you each take turns being the sheriff. The sheriff has to decide whether they believe you or not. You can bribe them to let you through. And if they open your bag and you were trying to, bring in contraband, things you did not declare, they get confiscated and discarded, and you must pay the sheriff a penalty listed on all the contraband cards. However, if you were telling the truth, the sheriff pays you a penalty based on all the cards you had in your pouch. And that's kind of the gist of how this works. And you get points based on your money as well as your goods that you get into Nottingham at the end of the game. This is a really fun game, very enjoyable. I really like Sheriff of Nottingham.
It's okay. I don't like bluffing games, but I mean, I'll play it a couple times a year.
We just played it recently.
But you like the theme.
Yes, I like the theme.
So there you go. That is my number 3, Sheriff of Nottingham.
My number 3 has already been mentioned. World Without End.
Crossover.
I always want to say amen after that. It's just growing up Catholic, It's just
What do you want to say?
World Without End, amen.
Amen.
Because that's what you
It's a prayer or
back,
something?
in church.
I don't know. I didn't grow up Catholic. I don't know these things. So.
I did, and I forced that out.
Well, I went to Catholic school also, so.
Okay, off topic. Back on topic.
Anyway, it's a really fun Euro game. It follows at least, I've never read the books, but at least follows the major plot points of the miniseries. And, there's a giant, well, not giant, but there's a biggish rondel.
The rondel's really good in this one.
Yeah, you get to build things. You build, it's not building like the cathedral.
It's not three-dimensional.
It's not three-dimensional, but you get to build extra buildings. You build the bridge, and, you upgrade the bridge to stone. And it's really fun. Eventually, the village gets the plague, and then I usually ignore them and let them all die because it doesn't actually affect anything.
They don't actually die,
The village always gets the plague.
Yeah, but the plague comes.
It's one of the things. It gets the plague at a certain point.
Yeah, they just sit there with the plague. They don't actually die or anything. But yeah, I try to save them though because I get the points for saving them. But you always ignore them.
No, I get points other ways. There's 10 different ways to get points.
Oh, there's a lot. Yeah.
You really need to just pick one or two ways and focus on those. Because if you try and get all the points all the ways, you're not gonna do well.
That's true.
I'm not gonna happen. All right, for my number 3, I picked a tremendously heavy game. This is Wasteland Express Delivery Service.
Great game.
This is this is one of his favorite games, and this is a really good game. I like this game a lot. I picked it at the literary theme is kind of like how Seven Ronin is thinly disguised to be Seven Samurai. This is not quite as thinly disguised, but the obvious inspiration is the Mad Max theories, the Road Warrior.
Yes. You know what? This is only not on my list because literally because of the thin disguise.
Yeah.
It didn't occur to me.
Yeah. So it's a thinly disguised Road Warrior, Mad Max, post-apocalyptic. The characters, the vehicles, it's all pretty much right out of the Mad Max Road Warrior universe. To pick up and deliver with various other little aspects in it. There's some combat, there's some other things in there. Yeah. But it's really a lot of fun. There's very different ways. Depending on which character you pick, you're playing a very, very different game. So those really matter.
And there's a lot of customization you can do to your vehicle too, right. Which can also, again, very much because you could go pro combat or just all speed or
strictly carrying capacity and move. So, but this is a really fun game. So, and I found a thinly veiled excuse to put it on the list.
I'm kind of kicking myself that I didn't realize that I should have put this on for.
Well, you love this. I like this game a lot. This is one of your favorite games.
Yeah,
But
this is my top 5 games of all time.
Yeah.
So yeah, I absolutely love this game.
So,
Well, there you go. Oh, did you want to say anything about it? You didn't mention it.
No, you guys, I like it.
Oh, okay.
all right, there you go.
Number 2. So for my number 2, I've got a crossover that Alex already talked about a whole bunch, and that is Seven Ronin. And I thoroughly agree with what Alex said, that this is very representative of the movie Seven Samurai. He already talked a lot about the mechanics. I don't really think I have anything to add, except to just say that, yeah, I obviously love this game too. Love the asymmetrical quality, and I love the Seven Samurai. That's like one of my favorite samurai movies of all time. Akira Kurosawa for life, yo.
Kurosawa.
Like Kurosawa, I make mad films. Okay, I don't make films. But if I did, they'd have a samurai.
Or a Ronin, in this case.
Okay.
I think we got Lynn behind on that one.
That just happened. A bare naked ladies.
I don't know what's going on. Anyway.
A bare naked ladies lyric battle.
Yeah, that's exactly what that was.
My number 2 is Bill and Ted's excellent board game.
This is finally in a place in a list where I agree that she put it on the
It
list.
actually belongs.
It actually belongs in this list. You've been working this into like every list for a while.
This was a very Alex kind of game because Lynn finds a reason to put it in whatever list
I
is
love
possible.
this game.
She put it in the sci-fi list. She put it in
history.
the history
travel.
list because it had historical
It has
characters.
historical characters.
But it's actually based on a movie, so it actually belongs in this list.
I cannot say anything as to the credence of where she lists she puts it on, but it does fit this.
It fits this list perfectly.
Right.
So it's a programming game. You travel around the board, and you pick up historical characters, and at the end of the game, whoever has the most historical characters wins.
And that is true. And then the historical characters add to the programming, so you have to plant them because each of them
They have a move on them.
They have 1 or 2 moves that you have to do before you do the moves from your programming of card playing. Yeah, and this one gets really brain burny and way more thinky than you would think, being based on Bill and Ted.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's actually a really good game. I agree with you putting it on the list.
Okay.
Thoroughly.
My number 2 is Swords and Strongholds from the Mouse Guard series of graphic novels. Abstract strategy, 4 pieces, 3 cards per hand, and it has an amazing amount of variability. The board is the size of, what is it? Maybe?
The box, basically?
Yeah, it's about 6 by 8 maybe, and you can, with 4 pieces and 3 cards, you can play several times in a couple hours and
they'll all be different.
do the same thing even remotely.
No.
The same. So this is a really, really fun game. It is the perfect size, the perfect amount of time. This is one of the best abstract strategy games, regardless of the theme, but it fits very well in this. So, Swords and Strongholds.
Since it was already on my list, I thoroughly agree, but we already know that Lynn also is kind of meh on that one. She's not a big fan. But there you have it. And, let's get on to our number 1s. And now it is time for number 1. And apparently A.A. Milne, the author of Winnie the Pooh. And there's actually Winnie the Pooh and Christopher Robin are in that picture. Look at that. So, my number 1 game based on film or literature is a game based on a series of movies that I grew up with.
Winnie the Pooh.
Star Wars Armada. Now, this is a game that allows you to play out the big ship battles, specifically the ones like in a Return of the Jedi. Like when they've got like all the ships there, all the big ships as well as the fighters fighting it out in space. Also, to reference one of the newer movies, quite a bit like the battle at the end of Rogue One, when they're fighting over the gate and when Admiral Raddus comes in and really helps, pull their bacon out of the fire at the end of that movie, which I actually have Admiral Raddus' ship and like to use him a lot in this. This is kind of a tabletop miniature game, very tactical, lots of variety that you can do. I'm not a huge fan of how much comes in the base set, because I think there could be more dice and more ships in here. But the game itself, once you get expanded into it, is amazing. And it is a really fun battle strategy, war strategy type game.
I agree.
My number 1 is Tales of the Arabian Nights. It is a storytelling game where you have to go around the board adventuring, and you encounter jinns and mermen and mystical places, and you do get you get abilities. You can pick 3 abilities to start with, and then you can either level those up or you can gain new abilities as you go along. You can also gain like curses and bad things too.
We just played this again recently, actually, on our vacation. We just played this with some family. Yeah, you're like obsessed with this game. I knew when we were making games based on literature or film, I was like, this is gonna be your number one. I knew it.
Is this moving up in the list for you, or is this?
This has been her favorite game of all time for a while.
For you.
Yeah. Oh, for me?
Yeah,
it's slowly moving down because she's overplaying it for me. The thing was, like, when we reviewed this, I gave it a 7.
Yeah.
And it's almost gone down to a 6 because, like, I need to be in the mood to play it because she's kind of overplayed it for me because we've played this game a lot and it was only just a 7 to start with. So for me, it's kind of pulling back a little bit now. But if you pace these out and don't ask to play them too often, it's okay. Like, we had fun when we played it. I enjoyed playing it when we played it recently. And we played it with a lot of people, actually.
Yeah.
What did we play? 5 players?
I think it was 5, yes.
Which that's the most we've ever played, and it's
How did it play?
still,
How did it play at 5? Was it okay?
It went a bit long, but it was still pretty good. But that was with a lot of people playing, there was a lot of waiting for your turn.
Yeah.
Because everybody takes a while on their turn. That was a bit of an issue. Some people were doing some thumb twiddling, or getting sidetracked on other discussions. But no, it actually is quite a good storytelling game, and I do understand why you love it. But it's one of those things where it's very much up her alley, but then not super up my alley.
Sure. Okay.
But you do adore it. I know you do.
And to finish this all off, my number 1 is also Star Wars Armada.
Oh, also Winnie the Pooh?
Also Winnie the Pooh. Did like Winnie the Pooh a lot when I was a kid. I like Star Wars more.
Okay.
So, this is a asymmetrical strategy game. It's not abstract.
This is what I forgot about that. This is what we were referencing earlier.
So, but to me, this is like you pick a side and you play that side.
Yeah.
So this isn't quite like a 20 or 30 minute abstract strategy asymmetrical game in that you can play it and then switch sides and start over again. I mean, you could do that, but you're talking about 12 hours investment if you're going to play this game. And plus, you have to research and build your fleets.
Yeah.
There's a lot more involved in
I
this.
am planning on actually collecting both fleets eventually. I've been collecting the Rebels right now because Alex has been collecting the Imperial. But I am planning on doing an Imperial fleet also.
I think maybe I'll get some Rebel stuff then.
Oh, there you go.
Lots of fun. This is a deep game. This is something that is so much fun. It gets me out of my short and sweet comfort zone. But this is really, really fun game.
You will sit down with me and play this game for like 4 hours.
Right, and I do not do that.
And yeah, you're usually into much shorter games, which is why that's kind of surprising. But this is a great game. It's very addicting.
Yeah, but like you said, if you buy the base set, that's the beginning.
Yes,
you're going to play it once or twice, and then you have to go on. So you're going to know that getting into it. But once you get it, it's addictive and it's a lot of fun, and the quality of the pieces is amazing, and the artwork is great, and the gameplay is fun. So it's a good game. Have fun with it.
I just want to give a shout out real quick before we wrap this up because I forgot to do it in the beginning, and I apologize for that. I wanted to do it at the beginning of the list, but I want to give a shout out to one of our fans, Daniel Kaiser, who requested this list. I meant to say it in the beginning and then I forgot and I just realized. So Daniel Kaiser commented when we just released our top 10 sci-fi games, and he said, how about a list of games based on movies, TV shows, books, etc. And I said, oh, that's a cool idea. Yeah. So there you are, and thank you very much for the suggestion. If any of you guys have other suggestions, a list you'd like to see us do, feel free to comment.
And Daniel, thank you for defending my position that steampunk is sci-fi.
Yes, indeed. So there you have it. If you have any comments or questions on the games we put forth in this list, feel free to put them in the comments down below. And in the comments down below, I want you to tell me what are your favorite games based on literature or film. And if you enjoyed this list and you'd like to see us do more lists like it, be sure to give this video a like, share it on all forms of social media, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to the Board Game Captain. That's Captain spelled with a K on YouTube. And until next time, game on.